We begin with a Crime Watch Daily exclusive on a story that's fixated the people in and around Chicago. A police officer shot dead after telling dispatch he was chasing 3 suspicious men. Now, the death prompted a massive manhunt for the killer and a flurry of theories. Today, for the first time, the officer's widow is breaking her silence to our Anna Garcia.
I called his cell phone yesterday because I missed his voice so much.
Mel Gliniewicz, the widow America has been waiting to hear from, is now breaking her silence and talking only to Crime Watch Daily.
I lost my best friend.
Her husband, Lieutenant Joe Gliniewicz, a decorated, beloved police officer, mentor, and Army vet, affectionately known in the idyllic small town of Fox Lake, Illinois, as G.I. Joe.
He was our own hometown hero.
But to 4 boys, this local legend was simply Dad.
One of the greatest examples of a person that I could think of.
The shooting of this decorated 52-year-old cop captured the country's attention.
The shooting death of a police officer in Illinois today touched off a massive manhunt.
But his family still doesn't know exactly what happened to him.
Someone took him away from me. Someone took him away from his family. And that really, it sickens me that someone would do that.
Lieutenant Joe was on the verge of retirement on the morning of September 1st. He was on his way into work when he went to patrol an industrial area where vandals were spotted. He radios in saying he's on foot and chasing 3 male suspects.
At approximately 7:52 in the morning on September 1st, Lieutenant Gliniewicz called out that he was out with 3 suspicious subjects.
Just 3 minutes later, he calls in for a second unit as backup. These are his last words. Then silence. Minutes later, he's found dead, and still police have no suspects. His death is now veiled in secrecy and cloaked in controversy. His heartbroken widow, Mel, is sitting down for this Crime Watch Daily exclusive to clear up the mystery and, for the first time, talk about that terrible day.
My brother-in-law actually called me, and he said, "Is Joe's radio number 6740? I'm a cop's wife. I know my husband's radio number. So I'm like, why? And he's like, there's been a shooting. And at that point, I flipped out.
Mel frantically called the police department over and over, but no one would tell her what happened. She raced to the station for answers she did not want to hear.
And then the nightmare began. And all I want to do is wake up from it.
Still in shock, she had to break the news to their 4 sons. Their dad was dead.
It was the longest day of my life. Not having any answers, not knowing where my husband was.
Mel's personal hell got even worse. 1 week after her husband's death, the coroner announced a shocker.
We have to consider a suicide, or we have to consider an accident.
I wholeheartedly believe he was murdered.
And to say otherwise?
It's disrespectful, hurtful, irresponsible.
When the coroner said maybe it's a suicide, how did you take that?
There was a lot of anger.
Mel is still furious, and she claims someone actually present at the autopsy told her, this is no suicide.
The coroner is an elected person. He didn't perform the autopsy. The one that performed the autopsy came and stood on my deck and told me everything.
Everything, including that her husband was killed by a single devastating gunshot wound to the torso, even though he was wearing a bulletproof vest. Mel was also told the vest stopped 1 bullet, but another bullet entered at a downward angle, and that was the fatal shot.
There were 2 shots. Somebody that is going to kill themselves is not going to shoot themselves twice. My husband was a firearms instructor. He was a sniper.
And this is one thing Mel wants everyone to know. Her husband was a man who had every reason to live.
There were things that were happening in our life that people who are going to commit suicide would never do. He'd already applied for chief's jobs in other towns. He was retiring out. We were planning vacations. He lived for these things.
In addition to the heartache, the Gliniewicz family is now worried about their future. Lieutenant Joe's pension and death benefits are on hold, pending determination of cause of death. Tragically, he was eligible to retire the day before he died.
It played in my mind every day. Every day. Why didn't you just walk? Just say it's the end.
Where are you watching? 1, 2, 3, right? Those are places you haven't checked yet.
So why was he still working? To teach teens how to be cops. The Explorer program was his passion. He loved kids and kids loved him.
Is that clear? Clear. What do you yell?
He did.
Did he? Okay, I didn't hear.
Without Joe, there would have been no one to run the program. He agreed to stay on until the department could find his replacement.
Your job when you exit is to come out here.
The guy known as G.I. Joe is also seen here on a video leading training on how to respond to an officer down.
To rescue the downed officer, got it?
Lieutenant Gliniewicz was the officer down that day.
All County units responding to officer down.
Tragically, help came too late. He was shot with his own gun, and police now say there were signs of a struggle.
There were just 17 minutes from the time Lieutenant Gliniewicz radioed in until he was found dead. He was outside his patrol car, his body was on the ground, and the gun was beside him.
That obviously sparked a major manhunt with over 400 police personnel responding to the area, numerous aircrafts, numerous K-9 units.
The FBI, ATF, and U.S. Marshals are still helping the sheriff and the Fox Lake Police Department search for the 3 suspects Gliniewicz was chasing, but none has been found. Ballistics tests just released show Lieutenant Gliniewicz was killed by his own gun, and the first bullet nearly knocked him out.
It would be similar to that of a sledgehammer hitting you in the side.
One of the shots was in approximately this region, struck his bulletproof vest. One of the shots was above his bulletproof vest in the upper torso area.
Cops are now saying they found 9 DNA samples at the scene, and they're testing more than 100 people to see if they can find a match.
This is being treated as a homicide investigation based on all the facts and evidence that we have at this time.
Detective Cavelli also tells Crime Watch Daily a police dog tracked the scent of gunshot residue from the scene to a swampy area a quarter of a mile away.
Which leads us to believe the information that the lieutenant called out over the radio, that this dog is tracking 1 or more individuals leaving the scene.
Even though a dozen cops are still investigating this case every day, the search has yet to turn up any viable suspects.
We're kind of starting to see some of the people kind of turn our backs on us because they want to believe some rumor.
Rumors that were fueled by the coroner's reference to suicide.
Dr. Rudd?
We tracked him down at home.
We've been trying to reach you. My name is Anna Garcia from Crime Watch Daily. It's about the Gliniewicz investigation. Dr. Rudd, could we talk to you for a second?
Dr. Rudd would not come out of his backyard, so I asked him questions through the bushes.
Yesterday, I interviewed Mrs. Gliniewicz, and she was heartbroken about some of your statements.
Okay, well, now's not the time.
Now's not the time? Well, sir, we just wanted to ask you about when you think your report will be available.
Don't know.
We thought after the funeral that it was going to get easier. We were like, all right, a lot of the stress is gone, and then all of a sudden that's when all the rumors spread.
The Gliniewicz family is hoping the police will soon reveal what really happened at Fox Lake so they can clear Lieutenant Joe Gliniewicz's good name and finally find peace.
Obviously, every son never wants to see their mother cry.
I lost my heart. All I want is one more kiss, one more hug, one more chance to hear his boisterous laughter. And I'll never have that again.
One other thing Mel wants involves the White House. Next week on Crime Watch Daily, her message to President Obama.